Hello and welcome to our first episode of Torero Talk. My name is Nadia Abdala and I'm the USD Women's Tennis Assistant Coach, and today I'm going to interview the legendary USD Women's Tennis Head Coach Sherri Stephens. How are you today, Sherri?
Nadia, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Sherri, you just finished your 36th season at USD. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going is the student athletes mainly. I really enjoy working with them and my time with them and watching them grow and develop. And it just, it's a very much of a blessing to watch what happens with the student athletes as they go through college. And it just makes me happy. I just really enjoy it.
In your experience, what makes a successful team?
In my experience, I believe a successful team, and the word success is kind of an interesting word to use because it could be meaning winning or losing or what success means. For me, success means the whole package. You have to have every bit of the person evolve at the same time, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, technical, tactical, all of those things kind of have to fit together. And after doing that, you're hoping that is happening with every single player on your team so that we can all communicate as human beings and people on a team to improve towards our end goal of being the best competitive team that we can be.
I think that you've probably heard this question pretty often, but how has tennis and coaching changed over the years?
Well, the sport itself has changed tremendously. I think we talked about this a little bit once before, but as you can see behind me, just the equipment itself is so different from wooden rackets from when I played as a junior, to steel, to graphite, to all the different changes in the racket's head size. So that in itself has changed the game, made it a little bit faster. Then the athletes became faster and bigger and stronger along with the rackets and the balls making it faster. So it's just the change just evolved, the sport just evolved. And so as a coach, me starting out playing with wooden rackets and being taught with a wooden racket and an Eastern forehand grip that went straight back and straight through, I had to learn and develop myself to the game. It's completely different with an open stance or with, the big swings and the spins and all of those kinds of things. So the sport itself has changed quite a bit.
You are the only coach at USD that has a national champion. Can you describe what you felt when Susana won her last match?
Well, it was a journey. We spent many hours on the court, off the court, trying to get there. Winning a national title, I'm sure there's many players that have that talent and the ability to win a title, but so many things have to go right for you. It could be health issues, it could be equipment issues, it could be the draw, or we got to the semis the year before and a string broke on one of the biggest points of the match. And then she started complaining about, her racket and the string, and she ended up losing the match. So those things make, you may have the ability to win NCAAs, but you don't do it. I knew she had the ability. I knew she could. I didn't know if she would. It just happened that tournament, everything went our way. There's a lot of funny stories that go along with making everything work for her, but we did. And Susana was known as a player that would like to get down in a match. She could be down 5-1 and she would come back and win 7-5. She would do that all the time. So she did it in the finals. And so if you can imagine being a coach sitting there watching from 2 courts away, I couldn't be on her court. I get too excited. So I had to put my assistant on the court, who was Hawaiian and very laid back and, smiled the whole time. And I'm on the other side getting, cramps in my neck and in my legs. And I don't know that I had hardly enough energy to run onto the court for her because I was just so, worn out. But she was ecstatic and June was ecstatic, and it was a great feeling. And she got a bid to the US Open. So that was awesome.
Sherri, do you have any questions for me?
Well, Nadia, I would like to know what you think you have learned and accomplished from 5 years ago when you first came to this campus as a coach, and where this has brought you and how you feel about that.
That's a really good question. I think that I've grown a lot in the last, now it's 6 years. It's crazy to think. And I think that I came in with a completely different mentality of what college sports was. I was a former tennis player, but I didn't have experience coaching high-level tennis. And I think, Sherri, you've been a great mentor and role model for me in a way that you treat the person as a whole. And I think that has been part of my coaching philosophy now. And I think I implemented that since day one because that's what you instill in your players. And I love that philosophy. So going from that, I think I've developed my own philosophy, which is treat the player as a whole. And, if you do that, then the big sense of trust that you talked about, that it's very important, will develop. And then from there, the sky's the limit. If you trust your student athletes, if you trust the coach next to you, and you develop this kind of like circle, then I think it's just a very healthy environment. And that's something that it was eye-opening for me, because I came in thinking I was going to be more of a dictator, more of a structured. And yeah, we have structure and we do have some discipline, but I think treating each player differently and treating the whole person, I think it's been a huge life lesson for me on the court and off the court. So I have a great role model, and I want to thank you for that.
Okay, last question.
Ready.
How good are we going to be next year?
So good.
Why would you say that?
I think next year we have a lot of potential. Well, we have our 1 and 2 coming back, and also I think we're going to have a very experienced team. Where last year, I think 3 out of our 6 girls playing in the singles lineup are underclassmen. So I think coming into next year, we're going to have a more experienced team, and also our incoming freshmen are hungry. They want to get better, and I think they're just going to be a great addition to our team, and we're super excited to have them. Thank you, Sherri, for being our first guest in Torero Tennis Talk.
You're welcome, Nadia. Good to see you, and
go Toreros!
Go Toreros!